They used to be everywhere. But today, China's relationship with the bicycle is complicated. Bikes made it to China from Europe in the late 1800s, but they weren't popular right away.
In the early 20th century, really, the way most people went from point A to point B was walking. There was no alternative. They couldn't afford other ways.
Born in Guangzhou in 1938 to an American father and a Chinese mother, Edward Rhodes has written about the history of the bike in China.
It was really not until after the communists come to power in 1949 that some of the other modes of transportation became forbidden.
You see, China's wealthy were used to being carried around on sedan chairs or tugged along by rickshaws. But that didn't quite fit the egalitarian image of communist ideology. And so the bicycle was quickly adopted as a proud symbol of the proletariat.
So in fact, it was called the freedom bike or freedom vehicle because it allowed you to free yourself from that dependence. To ride in a rickshaw where you sit and somebody else does the labor for you, you propel yourself.
In 1949, the party's vice president, Liu Shaoqi, visited a bike factory and tasked them with building a bicycle to represent the new China. And so the flying pigeon bicycle took off. These bikes became a symbol of development. In fact, Deng Xiaoping promised a flying pigeon bicycle in every household.
At that point, they defined progress and prosperity in those terms.
Soon, every household did own a bike. In the 80s, the number of them in China tripled, and they peaked in the mid-90s at 523 million. US President George H.W. Bush was even gifted a flying pigeon back in the 90s while on a visit to China. But soon, everything changed. In 1994, the State Council issued the Automobile Industry Production Policy, which began a shift towards car manufacturing and auto-centric urban planning. The Ministry of Housing went so far as to describe bikes as an inferior mode of transport. In Beijing, bicycle use fell from 62.7% of road transport in 1986 to only 15% in 2014.
I think the ideas are changing.
Aaron Zhang is the founder of 51 Bike, a social media platform in China that connects cyclists and organises events and races.
30 years ago, maybe in my parents' generation, when they get married, they need to buy a new bicycle. It's a big equipment. It's like a television. In our generation, when people get married, they buy a car, buy a new car.
Things have changed so drastically that in 2010, dating show contestants made headlines across the country after this exchange.
以后愿不愿意经常陪我一块儿骑单车？
我还是坐在宝马里哭吧。
Yeah, bikes are like for losers. Now, cars have overtaken bikes with over 300 million registered vehicles on the roads. The gig economy did see the trusty bike come back into fashion for a short period. By 2016, China accounted for 7 out of every 10 shared bicycles worldwide.
Instead of dying, there is this enormous upsurge of interest in bicycles, no longer privately owned, but all these millions of bicycles and all these different companies competing to rent bicycles to people.
But then, the bike-sharing bubble burst as fast as it inflated.
Thousands are now ending up in rubbish dumps.
I mean, they were literally just dumping the bicycles after they finished riding.
But it seems this isn't the end of the story for the trusty bicycle. Recently, the government outlined its Healthy China 2030 plan, which encourages healthier lifestyles and sports like cycling.
I think that it's changing back to the people viewing bicycle not as a working class symbol. In some degree, it's a big investment for the health.
And people like Aaron are on a mission to make cycling cool again.
We organize activities, we organize races, we talk to sponsors and governments, organize bicycle races in different cities to help local people get tourists.
But cycling hasn't taken off at an elite level compared to other sports. Only a handful of Chinese riders have competed in big races like the Tour de France.
Most Chinese people are into football, basketball and the big sports, I think it might take 50 or 100 years for Chinese to win a Tour de France.
All right, Aaron. Challenge accepted. Oh, God. How do they make it look so easy?